lib journalist conservatives get ready, we're sending bombs soon. For the far left, it's only just beginning. Americans have been repulsed by liberal tantrums in recent days, a restaurant owner kicking out White House Press Secretary Sarah Sanders, California Democrat Maxine Waters calling on her followers to physically harass President Donald Trump's cabinet members. But now a writer for a leftist website indirectly owned by Univision is predicting actual terrorist violence ahead, and he's relishing the idea of bombs exploding in American cities. This is all going to get more extreme. And it should. We are living in extreme times, wrote Hamilton Nolan, senior writer for Splinter News. The harm that is being done to all of us by the people in the American government is extreme. Read a recent history book. The U.S. had thousands of domestic bombings per year in the early 1970s. This is what happens when citizens decide en masse that their political system is corrupt, racist, and unresponsive. The people out of power have only just begun to flex their dissatisfaction. The day will come, sooner that you all think, when Trump administration officials will look back fondly on the time when all they had to worry about was getting hollered at a Mexican restaurant. That's not exactly peaceable assembly for the redress of grievances. The most telling part about Nolan's diatribe is that it isn't that far out of the mainstream of liberal thinking. First of all, Splinter News isn't some raggedy bi-weekly magazine put out by aging East European socialists in a basement in Brooklyn. It's owned by one of the largest media corporations going. Second, it's not out of line with what the Democratic Party is embracing these days. No matter what protestations Maxine Waters is offering now about how she has nothing to do with the way people decide to protest, nobody who heard her words on Sunday could have been mistaken about the kind of confrontation she was calling for. And no matter what kind of patina House Speaker Nancy Pelosi tried to put on it, there's no blaming Trump for this kind of vitriol. What's also telling, though, is how little the leftists like Nolan understand the politics and history they parrot. There's no doubt the 1970s were radical years for the United States. There's also no doubt that the decade represented a total political catastrophe for the left. After the Watergate scandal brought down the Nixon presidency, the best Democrats could answer with was Jimmy Carter, whose 4 years in office were the worst for an American president until Barack Obama was sworn in 2009. What followed the endless division of the hate-filled 70s wasn't a communist revolution in the country. It was the Reagan Revolution. Whatever idiot fantasies progressives like to engage in, the reality is the vast majority of people in the United States, including the vast majority of those who got here legally, are a lot more interested in making a good life for themselves and their families than they are in turning the country into some kind of third-world socialist utopia hellhole. The final reality is that whatever misery leftist violence can inflict, and there's no doubt that can be a lot, it will never defeat a country founded in a revolution devoted to the idea of individual freedom, not some leftist hack writer's idea of faux revolution. Some responses on Twitter showed just how wrong-headed rants like Nolan's are liberals like Maxine Waters and the restaurant owner who kicked out Sarah Sanders might be enjoying their momentary fame. And progressive, wannabe revolutionaries like Nolan might be getting their clickbait kicks out of inciting terrorist violence in the United States. But the saddest part of all of this is it really is only the beginning. Leftist terrorists are doomed to failure, like they were in the 1970s, but it doesn't mean they won't